What a game. How incredible was that, huh? Hockey. Hockey. Yes. Oh, it's always so great to see a great hockey game, especially when the team that you're cheering for finds a way to get it done. And also when that team they beat is Lou Amorello led. It's always good to see a Lou Amorello team, Lamorello team get run down. You've got to love seeing that. Lifetime of watching boring, plodding hockey. That's where that all goes. So, okay. Incredible game. Incredible comeback by the Utah Hockey Club. They win in overtime, 2 points in their very first road game ever. They win over the New York Islanders in overtime. A Frankenstein performance from the team. Mary Shelley herself foretold this hockey game many years ago. It was her muse. She saw it in the future as she was putting together Frankenstein, as she was penning that and writing that. She was thinking one day there will be a player named Dylan Guenther. He will be the Gretzky of Zion. He will be our hero in this game. I don't think it's ridiculous at this point. I think he's on pace, 2 goals in his first 2 games. He is going to score 164 goals this season for the Utah Hockey Club. What a heater he is on right now. You got to love the way that looked. So, keeping some of the Frankenstein flair here, I just wanted to just say that at the beginning of the game, I mean, just to do a quick recap, I mean, how silly, how insane was the goal that went off Anthony Duclair's skate? I mean, it's the perfect kind of New York Islanders goal. Like, it's definitely the sort of thing that you see from the Isles. That's how they score. That's who they are. That's kind of their, like, jam. I mean, it's like, if you could just dream up what a great New York Islanders goal of, like, the last, like, 5 years, what it would look like. It would look like that goal where the puck just went off the skate and found its way into the net. So, Anthony Duclair scores a goal, and I remember feeling that I was benevolent and good, and misery made me a fiend. Make me happy, and I shall be virtuous. And so I communicated that cosmically to the Utah Hockey Club. And quickly, right after, Lawson Krause on the power play goal. And frankly, that first period was pretty garbage, right? I mean, we can come back to it. But the first period for the Utah Hockey Club in this game was not a great period. And if it wasn't for the great power play goal by Lawson Krause just before the end of the first period, it would have been a real strange intermission. Instead, they had a little momentum and something to build on. Beautiful moment, the Cooley sauce where he tossed that thing, right? I mean, I think it was Dursey found Cooley on the weak hand side on the power play. Sauce right across the seam, right across the middle, gets on to the end of the stick of Matias Maccelli. Maccelli finds a little space. He works towards the goal line and then finds a nice pass right into the slot. Lawson Krause did a good job of moving, giving himself space. 2 defenders were basically taking the edge of the pipes, but as soon as it gets there, he just rips it and he finds the back of the net right past Varlamov. So I thought that was a great goal. And after it was scored, Mary Shelley, she got thinking, it is true. We shall be monsters, cut off from the world. But on that account, we shall be more attached to one another. And so it was 1-1. And then we saw, for the second time this season, Barrett Hayton stealing a goal from Mikhail Sergachev. And Sergachev knew it immediately afterwards. The announcers didn't got credited to Sergachev right away, but what we could see is Sergachev kind of pointed, he kind of tapped. It was just the ever so slightest touch on the stick of Barrett Hayton. That deflection gets put up. It's in the back of the net. 2-1 Utah Hockey Club. Barrett Hayton, 2 deflection goals to start the season. And, get to those areas, Barrett Hayton. Go to work down there. And he did a terrific job on getting that in. And Sergachev was obviously tonight. He has a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons to feel great about Mikhail Sergachev and the things that he put together for the Utah Hockey Club tonight in this contest. So Hayton gets the deflection, and Sergachev, again, there was question. There was people saying, well, he's got Victor Hedman, right? I think it's completely obvious now. And you don't ever want to overreact 2 games into the whole experiment, but here's the thing. I think that this is, they traded for a 1D. It's not that easy to go trade and get a guy that's a first top, absolute cornerstone sort of defenseman. They did it when they got Mikhail Sergachev. The big man, he's so dominant out there. He's so scary out there. He goes and controls things, and as he's out there, he's just like, this is not going to be happening on my watch. I'm from Nizhny-Novgorod, Russia, right? I'm going to make you pay. If you come into my world, you're going to know that I'm here. So, Mikhail Sergachev, great game. Hayton gets credit with that goal. Another assist. That's 2 goals that Hayton has scored where he had a deflection off of a Sergachev bomb from the blue line. Look, keep it coming, right? Just keep it coming, all right? Like a heartbeat every game. Let's do it. So, again, using Frankenstein, I have love in me the likes of which you can scarcely imagine, and the rage the likes of which you would not believe. If I cannot satisfy the one, I will indulge the other. So then, there's a thing that I think we should all understand. Through the first 5 periods of hockey this season, the Utah Hockey Club had not lost a period. They had tied, they had won, they hadn't lost a period of hockey. So through 2 periods into this game, things were looking pretty good. Pretty good. First period wasn't so strong. Second period, obviously notable because of that hard-working goal. And honestly, the other part of that stretch in the game was that goal was really scored, that Hayton goal off the deflection. That was such an awesome stretch of hockey for the Utah Hockey Club. They were in the offensive zone for several shifts, and it's one of those, long change. And so they were able to control the puck, keep the Islanders stuck on their end of the ice. And because they were stuck on their end of the ice, there wasn't that much that could happen with it. As soon as the third period starts, Bo Horvat, he scores after getting fed from Anthony Duclair. It was a nice play, came in quick, tic-tac-toe sort of moment, just came beneath the goal line up into the slot. It was a good pass. Horvat did a nice job of finishing that one, and the fallen angel becomes a malignant devil. Yet even that enemy of God and man had friends and associates in his desolation, and I am alone. That's how I felt. That's how I felt after the Bo Horvat goal. Then Utah Hockey Club, little like hope here. They go on the power play. It was drawn by Clayton Keller in the neutral zone, and they go out on that power play, and the power play starts, and Jean-Gabriel Pageau, right, JG Pageau. It's just one of those things that Andre Tourigny does is he is very aggressive on kind of allowing that system they have on the power play. It resulted in that great goal by Krause at the end of the first period. But man, it is aggressive. It is progressive. And what we see is we see that cycle that kind of goes around, and it's not really quarterbacked strongly or strictly by a defenseman. If you're a defenseman playing for Tourigny, you got to love that. You got to love that you're going to get a chance. You're going to get a chance to go down low and to create. And so it's pretty exciting to watch it happen. But in this instance, there was a pass back to the blue line. There was the connection that wasn't made there. And Pajot was off to the races. And he scores the shorthanded goal just to start off the power play in this moment where we were hoping to regain, with the big opportunity, regain the lead. Instead, shorthanded goal to J.G. Pajot. And nothing is so painful to the human mind as great and sudden change. Great and sudden change, that definitely was, but Dylan Guenther came straight back at him while they went back and still had the man advantage. Dylan Guenther comes in there. He says, "Beware, for I am fearless and therefore powerful." And he had a great pass. Came across the street, across the seam again. He took that spot just near the top of the circle. He had his stick up the way he does. He scored it in, and then he put it away. His celebration that he does every single time. He always takes the stick and he just slides it in like he's putting away his sword. Dylan Guenther, huh? I mean, can you be more happy with him? I can't. Wow. What a fantastic start. Fantastic start to his time. The Utah Hockey Club. Then game, looks like we're heading to a 3-3 tie. Things are kind of slipping away, getting to a place where we are just going to kind of cruise into overtime. And then Maxim Siplikov. Siplikov got in there, and he scored. How mutable are our feelings, and how strange is that clinging love we have of life, even in the excess of misery. 2 minutes left in the game. And friends, I got to tell you, I was like, what a bummer. What a bummer. I'm not sure we deserved to win, but man, it did feel like we deserved the point at that point. And I was feeling pretty unsure of. Obviously, I didn't think we were going to get a point at that point, much less win the game the way they would. But that was a depressing moment. But I didn't have to sit in it for very long, because mere 13 seconds later, Alex Kerfoot comes just barnstorming through, and he gets the puck on the forecheck, and then he's able to get it right into the middle of the ice. And there is Josh Doan. What a beauty. Josh Doan goes 5-hole, scores on Varlamov. And there we have it. Life, although it may be an accumulation of anguish, is dear to me, and I will defend it. That's what Josh Doan, he had to say about the whole thing. And then overtime. Oh my goodness. What an overtime. It is true now that compared to a lot of teams in the league now, going to overtime when it's 3-on-3, like you gotta love Utah Hockey Club's accumulation of players and what they can bring. And Dylan Guenther, right? Obviously, he got the opportunity, he scores the overtime, second goal of the game, fourth goal of the season. He's the NHL's leading scorer, which is fun to say, even though most teams haven't had a game yet. And Dylan Guenther, he puts the puck in the back of the net, and he says, "If I cannot inspire love," the spiel, right? Now that we've had a chance to go through and break down what the beginning of the game may look like, what that was going to turn into, what it would mean for the Utah Hockey Club. And I think there's a couple things that obviously they got to clean up, but the thing that you got to love is that they stuck with it. They didn't get down on themselves. They didn't give up. They found a way to keep attacking and keep going. There's enough skill on the ends of so many of these players' sticks that if they get just a window and had a chance to shoot at the net, they have a really strong chance to score. And so I think it'll be fun all season long to kind of watch the Utah Hockey Club have an opportunity to never give up, to not get out of games, and to kind of stick by and be tough in those ways. Okay, so I wanted to take a second and just, have the quick oh man, they did it. 4 points, 2 games into the season. This is a game I did not expect them to go and grab. It's hard, but it's a great way to begin the road trip. I know that the dinner that this group is going to have is going to taste even sweeter after a game like that. And I got to tell you, I just think that they had a really strong showing for themselves. So, okay, couple things that you'll see from this team that I thought were very interesting as we got into play. First, I thought that the top line tonight, outside of Hayton being able to get a goal on the deflection, which was good. I thought the deflection goal was great and that happened. But I would say that the biggest thing that we're going to see is that as we have this top line working their way through the season, there are times where it doesn't feel to me like it is a dominant line. Like between Keller and Schmaltz and Hayton, it doesn't feel like there's like, oh man, like we better get our checking, like get the checking line out there. We gotta neutralize that group. There's times where it doesn't feel like it is a particularly scary proposition to take on. Now look, you don't want to fall asleep against that line. Clayton Keller only needs a half a second, and we saw tonight that if you give people an opportunity, they can take it. And so I am certain that top line is going to have nights where they're dominant, really dominant. I thought tonight wasn't one of those nights. I thought that they played well. I think that they did enough to kind of neutralize and get down the ice, but they didn't really have too many stretches. The stretches that I felt like were the best for them was that stretch in the second period when they were in the offensive zone for what felt like maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, long change. Islanders couldn't get off. And that controlling the puck, that quick change that they had, the ability to forecheck and keep the puck in the zone, I thought they did a tremendous job when it came to that. But that was a collection of everybody. We saw 3 different lines take the ice during that stretch. It was clearly the best stretch of play for the Utah Hockey Club. I think one of the things that we need to pay attention to for this team as the season goes along, one of the most important things that the team is going to have to solve as the season goes along, is that they have so much talent and ability, and there is so much wanting to feed each other. And I think that's great from culturally, like that's great. And as things currently stand, like they're averaging 5 goals a game, right? 5 goals in game 1, 5 goals in game 2. Like if they score 5 goals every single game this year, like they're going to win like 80 games this year. Like if they can continue to score at the clip that they're scoring, like they're going to be incredibly difficult to beat, really. But I'm not sure that you're going to see that happen as they go along. And so that ability to dominate the zone and kind of continue to get everything to work the way that it worked for that stretch in the second period will be important. The other thing is offense in hockey comes through 2 modes. You either score because you are dominant in the cycle, and so you get into the system and you get into the zone and you find your way around and you have that happen. And that's what happened in the second period before Barrett Hayton's deflected goal off of the bomb from Sergachev. They were able to really work on the cycle, and it was their best stretch of that all year long. Scoring on the power play is essentially just a skill of how good are you at scoring on the cycle within a system, having the puck on one end of the ice, and just kind of working your way through those things. The other way to score is on the rush. And so, like, the first game of the season, that was definitely a score on the rush where they just barely came into the blue line. They made a drop pass by Kesselring, and Dylan Gunther scored on that first goal. And what we saw was tonight, Josh Doan, like, he scored on the rush. He had the opportunity to finish off, and he went 5-hole, and he found a way to score in that scenario. And I think that as the team is able to score on the rush, it will unlock lots of opportunities. But one of the things that they have to be able to do in order to win games near the end of the season, when you get more tired, when the stakes get higher, when things ratchet up, teams are really used to each other, and defensemen don't make as many mistakes in the neutral zone, so the rush isn't as effective. As you're wearing down, fatigue is setting in, long hockey season, teams that just rely on scoring on the rush are not able to hang in there as the season gets longer and longer. Instead, it's the teams that can find ways to score in the cycle within the systems that are there. And so it'll be interesting to continue to monitor those things and make sure that those things come along just fine. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to share a couple of those things, a couple of the big moments from the night. And I thought that the team, I thought they were electric. I was so proud and just fired up and making noise and scaring my dogs. I had a great time when they were able to find their way back in. But now, the other thing that I thought was really interesting tonight is you could see Andre Tourigny doing loads to try to solve and figure out, what are we going to do about our third and fourth line? Pretty much for the entire night, you saw Clayton Keller, Barrett Hayton, and Nick Schmaltz. They were together. They were left together. It looks like they're pretty committed to that line. I don't know what would need to happen to make an adjustment to those lines. That line seems pretty locked in. Then we have the Gunther, Cooley, McBain. That stayed the same from the first game, and I don't know how long that'll stay. We'll see what Nick Bukestad coming back from injury might introduce to that. We're a few games away from worrying about that. We'll talk more about that later. It's the bottom six, and the question is what do you do about the bottom six? You got Michelli, you got Kerfoot, you got Krause. You got Carcone, you got Stenlin, you got Doan. And tonight there were times where you saw Stenlin going out there with Michelli and going out there with Krause. And then you saw times where you had Stenlin going with Carcone and going with Doan. You saw Kerfoot get chances, and they just kind of mixed and jumbled these things up at different times of the game, trying to find maybe what the right mix is, something that was going to make Andre Tourigny happy about what the mix of all those things are going to be. But I would just say that he's got a nice level of those that, I like the mixture of what he has. And then beyond that, he's got Liam O'Brien and he's got Kyler Yamamoto to pick from to fill out the roster in that bottom six. So I think you're going to continue to see the top six kind of stay at the top six. You're going to see Keller, Hayton, Schmaltz. You're going to see Gunther, Cooley, McBain. The question is how do you unlock the most out of Michelli? Because Michelli he's a playmaker. He just needs people that can bury it. And Krause, he's got 2 goals earlier in this year. And I want to take a second to talk about Lawson Krause. He's been very public in past seasons about what his desire is as a player. Like, one of the goals that he's had, now we're talking high-end talent, drafted in the lottery. This is a guy that has had tons of expectations. He's 27. He's got an A on his chest now. And one of the things that you're hoping for from Lawson Krause is more goals. Now, he's been a pretty consistent 20-goal guy. I think he's got 3 years on the run here now, 3 years in a row, scoring at least 20. But the goal for him has always been to get to the 30-goal mark in a season. And look, scoring 2 goals in your first 2 games certainly helps you get to that 30-goal mark. It's a hard mark to get to. Scoring 30 goals in the NHL is not an easy task to get to. Just to mention, there's only 30 players that are entering this season who have had 2 straight seasons of 30 plus goals. And so I think what you're going to see is Krause is going to continue to work on his skill. He's going to continue to kind of grind out the season and we'll see what happens as he continues to work his way through those things. The other thing is they're using him more on the penalty kill. And he's big and he's tough on the penalty kill. And I think he can help you get some clears. For me, I like finding a guy on the penalty kill who's really fast, who can create a shorthanded goal the way Jean-Gabriel Pageau did for the Islanders. And so I'd like to see a scenario where they score and where they have chances on the shorthanded look. I don't know that you're going to get that with Lawson Krause. I'll tell you who you might get it from. And I thought it was really exciting. The question is, can he build the trust and confidence with Andre Tourny? Logan Cooley. I think Logan Cooley may be the answer long term as a penalty killer that you can throw out there who can have an active stick and then who can really motor the other way and then finish on the breakaway. I would love to see Logan Cooley have an opportunity to score on the penalty kill. So that's a spot where we'll see. The question is he going to find a way to be totally and completely in the good graces of the head coach? And can we find ways to improve his ability defensively so that he can be a more reliable penalty killer? So as things currently stand, when they go on the penalty kill, they throw out Stenlund. He gets that draw every single time. Death, taxes, Stenlund on the penalty kill draw. It makes a huge difference. I mean, I hope you saw that tonight. When they went on the penalty kill and they had to get things going and have it go in the right way, it always, when it went well, it always starts with a defensive zone win by Kevin Stenlund, and then it almost always just becomes a clear instantly and makes everything have to reset. Now they're just trying to enter into the zone. And so I thought that, again, Stenlund and what he's doing on the the penalty kill is just enormous. It's just incalculable how important Kevin Stenlund is to this team and what they're going to accomplish. He is never going to be a healthy scratch. Never. Neither is Alex Kerfoot, right? The guys that are going to cycle in and out of the squad, it is going to be really hard to see, who gets to keep their spots. But between Doan and Carcone, you like the pop they give you and the opportunity to score. I mean, Carcone scored over 20 goals last season as a fourth liner. Like, that's pretty awesome. And there were some injuries and he got some more time and opportunity. But as he got more time on the ice, he was able to capitalize with the time that he had on the ice. So you have to like what you can potentially get out of Michael Carcone. The question is, what do you want to do, right? Is it Liam O'Brien that you're going to throw in based on the matchup? Are you going to try Yamamoto? I mean, I know he had a good, hard-working preseason. He was able to create chances. He's able to score. So Yamamoto, I know, will get some opportunities as we go along, but 14 right now for that forward group. And then obviously we have the 7 defensemen where, we have yet to see him. But I will say this. I don't know I don't know that I get looking at the defensive, prospects, and people like Dmitry Shimashev. He's playing for Lokomotiv over in the KHL. If you want a KHL team to cheer for, by the way, Utah Hockey Club fans, it's Lokomotiv over in the KHL. Two of our 5 best prospects right now are playing on a very experienced team. They will be challenging for a KHL championship this year at Lokomotiv. Dmitry Shimashev, huge piece of that puzzle there. Daniel Boot, right? He's going to be a huge part of the equation too. Those players can potentially join Boot in particular as just another sniping, big scoring forward, and then Shimashev's a good skater on the blue line. But, if Vladislav Kolyachonok, if Michael Kesselring, I thought Valimaki was a lot better tonight than we had seen in other nights. I thought Ian Cole again gave you just the solid Ian Cole game, just super solid. And obviously Sergachev and Dursey, and they continue to play them as a top pair, and seeing if they can control things in those ways. Dursey, man, he had that little stretch where he's dangling and he's creating space, and he went to the front of the net at one point. So again, to have that kind of skill from our blue line players, it's pretty nice. You don't have only, I would say, Valimaki and Cole are pretty well established, like kind of just defensive defensemen. Kesselring and Kolyachonok, I think they can provide a little pop on the offensive end as well, and they seem solid. Again, the thing that I loved seeing tonight was there wasn't really goals scored on the rush. The shorty on the power play, it wasn't the normal, there's only one defenseman on the ice. So when they gave up the shorty, I mean, it was kind of a strange scenario. The rest of the goals that were scored were all scored within a 5-on-5 and inside of the system sort of, sort of play. And Anthony Duclair, I think that was on the power play as well. Anthony Duclair was on the power play. And it was off a skate. It was kind of this kind of weird moment. But I would just say that I thought that the defensemen were all really pretty solid tonight. And I think that there's a lot to be proud of in the effort that was put in by the defensemen on the blue line. So that's that. I don't know there's a whole ton more to say about the game by the Utah Hockey Club tonight, other than to say that you gotta love stick-to-itiveness. You gotta love when a team hangs in there and finds a way to get a victory when they go down a goal with 2 minutes remaining. It took 13 seconds to come back. They've played 6 periods of hockey. They've won. They've only been defeated in one of those periods of hockey. If you win more periods than you lose, you can win a lot of points in this league, and you can definitely find yourself in the playoffs. So 20 minutes at a time, finding ways to continue to stay close and be in it. I thought, obviously, Connor Ingram, again, super strong, super tough in between the net. I think he competed hard. I thought that the weird bounce that happened in the beginning of the game where, the puck came through, it came off the boards, it hit the post as he was back. He thought it was going to, rim around the boards and find its way to him. It didn't happen, and then he made the Superman dive and got his glove to it. I mean, what a fantastic compete. I mean, just a fantastic compete level from Connor Ingram. And so he made enough saves. There were parts of this game where they were not strong. Again, we've talked about how inconsistency is going to just show up with this team all year long. There's going to be stretches where they don't look very good, and then there's just the quick moments where they look really tough. They look really tough. And so I think what you're going to see throughout the season, I do think that you're going to see a couple stretches where things get a little tight, get a little tough for the Utah Hockey Club. I think that ups and downs that come with youth and being, more inconsistent as you struggle with developing that part of your game as being a professional hockey player, given the same sort of effort, being able to get points no matter what. I think those are all the things that you're going to see in relation to the Utah Hockey Club this season. But hey, I thought that they would have maybe a sad night tonight against the Islanders. I know playing against the Islanders always just represents sort of a tough, plotting. If you get blown out by the Islanders, something went really, really bad. They love to beat teams by one goal. Maybe grab an empty netter at the end of the game. But I do not think you need to be concerned about what it means to face a team like the Islanders, like that. The team that is the Islanders in the West, it's basically the LA Kings. And so we'll have a lot more game against LA Kings. The one thing about the Kings, though, is they're even smarter than the Islanders, in my opinion. I think that 1-3-1 trap that they play, which obviously we talked about Lou Lamoriello, he is obviously famously a proponent of that system. He has built teams around that system. The New Jersey Devils of the 90s obviously come to mind, that early 2000s. So I think that what we want to see is opportunities to see the Utah Hockey Club find ways to win against teams like this and grind it out, because if it becomes a skill contest, and again, if they get in overtime and it's 3-on-3, that's a great opportunity. But good example of that grind, First of all, Ian Cole must have really hurt Anders Lee. Anders Lee is a tough player. He's big. He's tough. He went down in a heap, didn't he? And it looked bad. That stick him in the face. So anyway, double minor on that. They had 4 minutes of penalty kill to have. That was an intense moment, huh? That got your heart racing a little bit. But they found a way to penalty kill through that. I thought that they went deep into the bench on the penalty kill. I never in my life, if you would have told me that we would have saw Nick Schmaltz on the penalty kill 2 games in a row, I would have said, yeah, there's no way that's true. This is the guy that I think the most penalty kill minutes, time on ice he's had, in his career is about 30 minutes. So the fact that he's, logged 2 minutes, 3 minutes of penalty kill time through 2 games, it's absolutely kind of wild. But maybe they are going to not rely on such a small group for penalty kill, and maybe they'll give lots of people opportunities to be penalty killers and be special team players. So I think that's what we're going to see in relation to that part of the game. And being good on special teams is it's so critical. They get their first power play goal with Krause. Again, I thought Keller was outstanding on that pass. He gets the second assist mark. Michelli gets the first assist, and then Krause puts it in. I thought that saucer pass all the way across the ice, that was beautiful pass by Logan Cooley. And then I thought Logan Cooley, again, as a penalty killer, was great, and in overtime. He did so many of the small things, selfless things. Keller got trapped on the ice in overtime, and it was a long time for him to be on the ice. And in order to get him off, it would have required Logan Cooley to skate harder, skate further than he needed to, apply a little pressure, and cause the Islanders to sink back even further, and it allowed Clayton Keller to get off. And the player that came on was Dylan Guenther, the Gretzky of Zion. And we saw that Dylan Guenther put it in the back of the net and won the game out of nothing. It was awesome. It was a tremendous game. You can be proud of the effort and the display that the Utah Hockey Club put on for you tonight. Obviously, not clean. Some of those goals they gave up, right? Pretty rough. But that's a good team on that other side. That's the sort of team you have to beat if you're going to be a playoff team. And they got to steal points here or there, and they did that tonight. I did not think that they were going to win. In my season preview, I predicted that they would lose. They didn't. They won. So I'm proud of them. And I thought that they did a tremendous job asserting themselves through the game tonight. And again, the effort and the ability of this team to turn the game on a dime and to score quickly and to have so many guys So many guys that you see on the breakaway and you're like, oh, he's got a chance to score. Not every team feels confident. When Josh Doan had the breakaway opportunity, I was like, oh, he's going to score this thing. Like, let's see it. He's going to score. Carcone, he can do it. To have fourth liners that can do that, that's just not, it's not present on every single team. It just isn't. So, again, exciting. Congratulations to the Utah Hockey Club. Their first ever win on the road against the New York Islanders. They play again in 2 days' time. They will take on the mighty New York Rangers. Rangers are good, right? Just to talk about that game for a second, it's like, well, you got to be Zibanejad and Kreider and all of the guys, and for heaven's sakes, right? You gotta beat Shesterkin in net. Holy Moses, right? Getting it past him is hard. Keandre Miller on the blue line. Fox, oh my gosh, what a team. Loaded. This is potentially, definitely, I look, if they don't make the Eastern Conference Final this year, right, that's a failure for this team. Peter Laviolette is the coach of the New York Rangers. Actually, interesting, there's a Peter Laviolette and the GM for the Utah Hockey Club are actually friendly with each other. Bill Armstrong, the general manager, used to work for Peter Laviolette. He was his assistant coach for the Providence Bruins, I think. So anyway, a little connection there. I'm sure maybe they'll get a chance to shake hands and say hello to each other and share some old war stories. The hockey community is very tight-knit. It's hard to break into it in a lot of ways. You kind of got to be inside of the system as a whole. And so it'll be interesting to see what will happen as they play a team like the New York Rangers. If they get a point, if they get a win against the New York Rangers, we're off to. I think you need to start rethinking maybe where the team is at. I think that if they're able to find a way to beat the New York Rangers, I think it's going to be like that. Hey, thanks for the chat. I'm seeing that. That's what I just checked. Gunther is giving major Ovi vibes to you. My dad lives in D.C. and has followed Ovi his whole career, and he can't stop making the comparison. Yeah. Well, look, first of all, right, yeah, if you've watched Ovi, right, of course, you've watched him. He's, greatest goal scorer ever. We got, right? He's always calling for the puck. He's always wanting that puck on his stick because he's so dangerous when he hits it on his stick. And so Ovechkin, he does that. And then I think the thing of parking on that left dot the way that Ovi has on the power play, I think that is a thing that he's so strong in that position. We haven't seen that yet from Gunther, but the release, I mean, you got to love that release that you see that. So look, he deserves the comparison that you're giving him. He's the 4 goals in 2 games. He was on pace to be, one of the 20 best goal scorers in the league last year in his first 44 games in the second half of the season. I've called him the Gretzky of Zion a few times. I think that he's definitely, he's on pace to score 164 goals and he's going to do it. If you want to be over the top about Dylan Gunther, you have every right to do it at this moment. The kid has done fantastic work at the beginning of the season, and I think that he's going to continue to have these opportunities to continue to score. And in the same way, like Ovechkin, we'll see what happens as the season progresses. It'll be interesting to see as teams are going to have to account for him more. Like, what's fun about this team, another piece that's fun about this team is because Clayton Keller's on one line and he's playing with Schmaltz, and Schmaltz is a good goal scorer, and Barrett Hayton is off to a good goal scoring clip so far, stealing him from Sergachev. But I think that because you got Keller and Schmaltz on one line, you could put your checkers out there and your best defensive checking team out there against Keller and Schmaltz. But then you got Cooley and Gunther coming up next. And so if you make an adjustment and say, well, we better do something about Dylan Gunther because he's hot at the beginning of the season. Well, then you're leaving space to get exposed, right? By now Clayton Keller is not dealing with that. Look, Clayton Keller's never not played against the other team's best checking unit. As he's been in Arizona, he's been inundated with the other team's best defensive group. And it's just because there hasn't been the depth that might make a coach question, maybe we're better served by putting a different line defensively against Keller and Schmaltz because we need to do something about Cooley and Gunther. It's an awesome problem. I think it's an awesome problem for Andre Tourné to potentially have. And Gunther, I think, it's coming. The other thing I would just suggest, and it would be interesting to see, what I think in Madison Square Garden, like my spidey senses are telling me that you're going to see maybe some underhanded stuff. Maybe. They're not necessarily above that sort of thing. I'm not saying that it's going to be fully dirty, but I do think that there's a good chance that you're going to see Dylan Gunther take a shot in a way that he hasn't in the first two games, and somebody might need to stand up for him. And so we'll see how that goes. I actually believe last time, I think the very last time that nope, I got it confused. I thought Liam O'Brien had gotten in a fight with the New York Rangers last time, but he didn't. It was against Toronto. So anyway, I don't know. It'll be fascinating to see, but I kind of have a sneaking suspicion. This is a physical team. This is a team that's built to be like as gritty and as hard, hard boiled as the Florida Panthers. They got to compete with the Florida Panthers, and so I think you're going to have to see that there's a chance that there may be some headhunting that starts to happen to Dylan Gunther. And so the question is like, can he find a way to be as tough as a guy like Ovechkin or the other top goal scorers that have ever, been around? But it's early on. He's scoring at a really fast clip. I mean, he's on pace through his first 82 games. I think if you were to do like a pace rating, I think there's a chance that, he's on pace to be a 40 or even 50 goal scorer through his first 82 games in the NHL. I mean, it's wild. So, Dylan Gunther, awesome. The hero, he has scored 4 goals. The Utah Hockey Club, 10 goals. And there they are, 2-0, 4 points. And I don't think that they're ever going to lose at this point. So with that, we say thanks for tuning in. For those of you that tuned in, thanks for participating in the chat. We will be back again post-game after the buzzer to talk about the New York Rangers game. Hopefully, it'll be just as joyful as this one. Appreciate each of you tuning in. Thanks for the support. Please remember to give a thumbs up to this stream. And also, if you don't mind, please subscribe and share this with your other friends of the Utah Hockey Club. And with that, I bid you adieu. Happy Thursday night. The Utah Hockey Club win against the New York Islanders.